Good Wednesday afternoon to you. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining us on Sports4CLE. Plenty of Browns to talk about as they get ready to travel down to Baltimore to play the Ravens Sunday night. A little later in the show, Ashley Bastock from cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer will join us. We begin by talking Browns and some good news. Kareem Hunt, Jack Conklin, both activated, designated to return from IR, which means they can practice, which means they are trending towards being back on the field for that game against the Ravens Sunday night. Kevin Stefanski talked about how important it is to get Kareem Hunt back and what he brings to the team.
I think it's great to have him out here. It was great to have him in the walkthrough. I'm sure on the practice field, he brings energy, brings a toughness to what he does. So I think it gives the guys a boost starting today. Yeah, he's a great effort throughout. I mean, Jeff, I'd even tell you when he is on the sideline, when he's cheering his teammates on. When he's on the field, he's great in pass pro. Threat outside of the coming out of the backfield to catch routes, can line up outside the backfield to catch routes, and we know what type of runner is. He runs so hard and just gains those extra yards, it feels like, with each one of his runs.
Let's welcome in Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Hayden, have we minimized how big of a deal Kareem Hunt is to this offense, do you think?
I don't know if we have, but I'll tell you this, I think Nick Chubb is one of the best running backs in the NFL and obviously a tremendous character and strong, athletic, fast. But I think there's something about Kareem Hunt that makes him special. Nick Chubb is special in his own way, but Kareem Hunt is another kind of special. Just finds a way to get the job done, to get you that extra yard, as Kevin said, to get that first down. He's just so elusive. He runs with such tenacity. So maybe Nick Chubb, a smarter runner, maybe Nick Chubb, does some things differently. But 27 would be a guy that I would take on my team every day of the week. I would take 24 as well. But 27, there's something different about him. There's something just that much more special than even one of the most special players in the world in Nick Chubb. So definitely a big, huge piece of news getting him back this week, because you can't have enough, of either of those guys in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Well, in tandem with that, it looks like Jack Conklin will be back at right tackle, another big part of that run game. Baker Mayfield talked to the media today and just mentioned how important it is to get both of those guys back for this offense.
Getting the boys back together, so we're obviously looking forward to it. You're going to see how Kareem does this week, and it'll be great. Those are two extremely key pieces in our offense, and obviously Kareem's a great playmaker, and Jack, obviously his play speaks for itself. So we're looking forward to it, but we'll just handle the week as it goes and see what happens. Yeah, I think Kareem, just energy-wise, that spark he comes in and plays with, I think that's a extremely vital part for us. And when it comes to the explosive portion of our offense, we've been missing that with him as well. So some of the the shotgun plays with him coming out of the backfield, whether it's run or pass, he's a key part of our offense.
As a quarterback, having a back that can catch the ball and make some plays, what does that do for you?
I mean, that makes life easy, on some of these checkdowns to where it can turn into explosive plays. That's the kind of playmakers we have, so we're looking forward to it. Yeah, to have those two guys in the backfield together, obviously complements with De'Aaron as well. Just to be able to rotate those guys in and have fresh legs. This is a great part of the season to have that coming back in. So looking forward to that part. But they complement each other well. They're both they'll sub each other out and go in when they know they need a break. So they complement each other well.
And Hayden, against a team like the Ravens that gets after the quarterback, the screen game will probably very much be in play, and it's much better when you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as part of that.
Yeah, I think it opens up their offense in a lot of ways. I think, not only the screen game, but, you can do so many different things with Kareem in the pass game that you can't really do with Nick Chubb. He's just not that kind of back. Nick Chubb is at his fastest when he's going. When he gets going, I think Kareem Hunt is at his best. He starts off 100 miles an hour and he stays 100 miles an hour. I think his burst is a lot better than Nick Chubb. So there's a lot of different things you can do with him. Obviously a better pass catcher than Nick Chubb, and a guy that, like you said, opens up a lot of that offense. I think Nick Chubb is a good blocker. I think Kareem Hunt's a good blocker. But you want the ball in the hands of those guys. And that also gives Nick Chubb an opportunity to when you spell Nick Chubb, and this is nothing against Dearness Johnson. I think Dearness Johnson is a great back as well. But when you spell Nick Chubb and you have Kareem Hunt, there is no let up. There is none. There's zero. In fact, I would say there's more of a, there's a little bit more of an, oh crap, we're facing something that's even slightly more dangerous now when Kareem Hunt comes in. So defenses get no let up when those two guys are in the game. They complement each other extremely well. As Baker said, they trust each other when to come out, in and out of a game. Everything that Nick Chubb does well, Kareem Hunt does, they're not his strengths, but everything that Nick Chubb has, less, they basically, whatever their deficiencies are, and they don't really have many of them, they fill in for each other's deficiencies, and they make one back that is absolutely unstoppable. And the Browns are lucky to have that two-headed monster.
Well, and to put some context behind, what you're saying, let's take a look at this tweet from Jeremy Fowler. All right. In the offense, 5 games with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, 28.4 points, 417.6 yards per game. 6 games without the pair, down to 16.5 points per game and 100 yards per game less. And NFL's best duo at key positions, yeah, that's safe to say that is the NFL's best duo. But that puts some concrete numbers to what having those two in the backfield together means, at least this year, for the Browns.
Oh, I mean, it's huge. I mean, and I think the best part is that they're not on the backfield together. I think that when you put them in the backfield together, only one guy can get the ball. And yeah, decoys are fine, but I think the way that Kevin Stefanski runs it with having Nick Chubb out there and then Kareem Hunt and then bouncing back and forth, I think it's what makes them so much more efficient, and it's what makes them great. So I love the way they use them. And obviously, again, the Browns are built to run the football. It's not a secret at this point. It's been said by everyone. They are built to run the football and pass off the run. And when you have 2 elite backs who can run the football better than 95% of the backs in the NFL, then it's going to make your offense that much better. And it's going to make your ability, your play calling that much better. It's going to make everything that much better. So, Kareem Hunt coming back is a huge, huge, huge part of this offense.
And this one's important for the Browns. 6-5, facing 7-3 Baltimore. So certainly not out of range, but this is an important game. Baker Mayfield talked about, where the Browns stand as a team and kind of looking forward, what they need to do.
A different spot right now. 6 games left, and 1 win behind the division leader, which we're playing twice in the next 3 weeks. And so we know the task at hand, and we know how we have to attack it. It's obviously anytime you have a division game, it's a huge game for us. Turning point in the season. We have a winning record. Everybody else wants to throw us in the trash, but we know exactly what's in front of us, and that's how we're going to handle it. Yeah, but you look at the division right now, and everybody's stuck in there. So each game that's a division opponent, it's just, obviously extremely important.
And I would say, Hayden, the pressure in this game is on the Browns. If they win, puts the pressure right back on the Ravens against the Steelers, and especially on that second of back-to-backs with the Browns.
Yeah, everything is setting up for, if they can win this game, everything is setting up in their direction. You got the Ravens again. You've been studying them for weeks. You got a week off to get healthier for Baker Mayfield to rest that foot. You get a week off to just kind of everybody getting a little healthier. And then you're playing the same Ravens team, so you're not learning anything necessarily hugely new. Obviously little wrinkles here and there because you'll have the game tape against the Steelers. But other than that, again, they don't have any other game tape against you. So it's very, very, very beneficial to the Browns. And this is, we've said it a lot because it's true, but this is absolutely the most pivotal game of the season. It's bar none the most pivotal. Sunday Night Football, national spotlight, an opportunity to get back in the division race, an opportunity to be healthy going into the bye, or to get healthy with the bye week and to have momentum going into the bye week. And then an opportunity to play them at home, in Cleveland the week after that. So there is no let up, and they got to get the job done on Sunday. I think that Baker Mayfield, everything he's been through the past couple of weeks in regards to, poor play and injury and whatnot, I think he's going to come out ready to go. And if he can't turn it around, then maybe there starts to be some real questions. But I think that Baker Mayfield, when his back is against the wall, like it kind of was against the Bengals, right? That was a game they needed to win. He was excellent. He was at his best. So want to see more of that. And now obviously he's going to get some help from Chubb and Hunt and even Jack Conklin at the right tackle spot, which is huge.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will hear from Lamar Jackson talking today about his health as well as the Browns defense. We will dive into Browns against Lamar Jackson. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns getting ready to head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens Sunday night in the Sunday night game on NBC. So Lamar Jackson did not play in last week's game when the Ravens beat the Bears. Backup engineered a big comeback. He was out with a non-COVID related injury. He is back at practice. The question is, how healthy is Lamar Jackson and can he go?
I don't want to talk about the sickness. I'm good now. I don't want to go back and talk about sickness and then mess around and get sick. No, I'm good. I think I'm fully back to normal. I want to get out there and just go. You know, I don't want to limit myself or have coach limit me or anything like that. You know, I want to ground my guys because I haven't in a whole week.
So, Hayden, here are some numbers to think about with Lamar Jackson. These are his numbers against the Browns. He's 89 and 132 passing, 1,102 yards, 10 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. Additionally, 65 carries, 438 yards, and 4 touchdowns rushing. That is in 6 games, a 4-2 record. In short, he seems to play really well against the Browns whenever he steps on the field.
Yes, he does. I mean, he's obviously, you know, last year was kind of his moment when he was out of the game and all of a sudden came back in and miraculously, you know, got rid of the cramps or whatever he was dealing with and ran, you know, dominated the Browns and got the win. So he's certainly a special player. There's no doubt. He can make every throw. He can run around and, you know, make you miss like crazy. And he's good at reading defenses. He's good at a lot of things. But I think the one thing, I think if you can force him to be a purely pocket passer, and it's hard to do. It's next to impossible. But if you can do what Miami did and force him to be a predominantly pocket passer, you can beat him. You can beat him. He's beatable. He's not, you know, he's not Teflon. He's beatable. So the Browns are going to have to find a way to do that. They haven't done that against him much, obviously, and it's hard to do. Listen, the guy is incredible. He's an incredible talent, but they have to find a way to at least limit him enough to where they can win this game. Because if they let him run wild, and you know, that offense can score 50 points and win that game. So we saw it last year in what was quote unquote the game of the year against Baltimore. The Browns are hoping it's the game of the year against Baltimore, but this year they're hoping to, you know, be able to stop Lamar and get that much needed victory.
So Lamar also talked about what he has seen from the Browns defense and what he's concerned about when he faces the Browns defense on Sunday night.
Like you said, Myles Garrett and Jadavian, you know, those guys stick out the most. Those guys flying off the ball, getting sacks, stirring up the defense. Stirring up the offensive line. Those guys making great impacts, you know, in the game. Just gonna have to do a good job at blocking those guys. Secondary is looking pretty good as well. You know, they got Ward. Ward is healthy, been playing tremendous this season. Got to attack. You know, we got to play football.
And again, he's aware of who's coming after him, and these are the games that the Browns won't admit it. Andrew Berry won't tell you that, but this is why you got guys like Jadeveon Clowney, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, John Johnson, guys that can run and be effective in space.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They drafted JOK to be a guy to help with Lamar. They drafted all these. They got all these defenders to help with Lamar, because Lamar, again, is a guy that's going to be in their division for a long time, and he's a guy that you got to compete with on the speed level. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger is not going to be that. He's just on the end of his career, and Joe Burrow is certainly not. He's mobile enough, but obviously not half as mobile as Lamar. Lamar Jackson poses a big threat to this division all the time because of what he can do with his legs, and again, what he can do with his legs combined with what he can do with his arms. So you're right. That's why they got John Johnson. That's why they got JOK. That's why you got Grant Delpit. That's why they got Grady Williams. So they got Denzel Ward. I mean, that's why they got Greg Newsome. They got all these guys for that reason, to help with a guy like Lamar Jackson. And obviously they help against other quarterbacks, but Lamar is a different beast. So I'm really excited to see it. It kind of does seem like Joe Woods' game plan is going to be put on big display. I think they've been preparing for this and for Lamar all year long. Obviously, they haven't played well against mobile quarterbacks to this point. Did not play well against Kyler Murray, which is a little concerning. But again, Kyler Murray is a different quarterback from Lamar. Every quarterback in this league is different. So I want to see what happens on Sunday night. I want to see how this defense plays. I want to see if JOK is healthy enough to run around with them and kind of spy Lamar. And I want to see Myles Garrett keep contained. I think that's another huge thing. You talk about Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett getting after the quarterback. Well, yes, you got to get after the quarterback. But you got to do it in a smart way, because if you overcommit, then he's gonna blow by you every time. And I know they know that, but it's easier said than done. So looking forward to seeing what Joe Woods comes up with this week. Looking forward to seeing how the Browns combat the very dangerous Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, hang on to that thought. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, John Johnson and Anthony Walker talked together today, and they talked about trying to find a way to stop Lamar Jackson in that Ravens run game.
It's like a mentality with them. I think, they want to out-physical you. They want to run the ball. There's no secrets behind that. They're top 5 in rushing. So I think it's just a mentality. Like, they want to knock you off the ball. They want to run the ball, and they will run the ball as long as you don't stop it. So we got to come in with the mindset of we got to knock the run out first and foremost before anything.
Do you think you can fix what's been an issue the last couple of weeks?
For sure. You talked about, taking Lamar out of the run game. That's the difference. Him being able to pull it every play, or hand it off every play. That's a different element that we have to account for this week. It's kind of like playing 11-on-11 football instead of 11-on-10. So we got to play fundamentally sound without rules more than anything this week.
So Hayden, take a listen. These are the last 4 games for Lamar Jackson. Now, remember, didn't play last week. The last 4 games, he's been sacked 15 times. He's thrown 5 interceptions, and he has 6 passing touchdowns. He only has rushing touchdowns in 1 game this year. He had 2 of them against the Chiefs. There's a blueprint out there, and you alluded to it. The Dolphins kind of got after him and made him make decisions quick. That's the one thing. You want him to play from the pocket, but you can't allow him to sit in the pocket, because he's learned to play that way. He's learned to play that way.
Yeah, no. You give any quarterback time in the NFL time in the pocket, I mean, they're going to pick you apart. That's just the bottom line. Maybe it's because their first read isn't, or they've gone through their progressions and there's still nobody open, but they still got time in the pocket, and a receiver can go make a play. I mean, go do something in your backyard school league. That's what the Ravens are good at. So the Dolphins literally played cover 0 for 40 snaps and had success. Made Lamar he was jumbled. He was not able to do what he does. I don't think the Browns are going to do that. I think that obviously that is a little bit difficult to replicate, especially, for 1 game at the Dolphins, they were 2-7 or whatever they were, and they came out and did it because they needed to. That's I get that. That's a one-off thing, but the Browns can't do that. The Browns can't run cover 0 every play. You gotta confuse them a little bit. Maybe show cover 0 and back off. Show cover 3 and then, find a way to cover 1, find a way to, man, I don't know. That's why I'm really interested to see what Joe Woods does, because you're right. There seems to be a blueprint, and the blueprint is easily said. It's to stop Lamar Jackson's feet, and to make him make quick decisions in the pocket and to get after him, much easier said than done, because he can elude you, he can avoid you, he can evade you. It's not an easy thing to do.
The one thing that it appears is the Browns want to guard against big plays. Everybody does. But you have enough athletes. Trust your athletes. You went out and you upgraded the speed and the athleticism of this defense. Trust them. This is why you got them. Let them go out and play.
I'm with you, man. I'm 100% with you. I think this is the week to let it fly. I mean, you've got nothing else to lose at this point. If you lose this game, your playoff shots or your playoff shot is not dead, definitely not dead, but it's certainly, you're going to have to probably win 4 out of your last 5 if you want to get to the playoffs. So if you want to put yourself in a good situation towards the end of the year, I mean, this is the time to do it. Let it fly. Let your guys play. You got Denzel, you got Greedy, you got Greg Newsome to face up against these receivers. You got JOK to look at Lamar. You got JOK to look at the tight ends. I mean, they got weapons. They do. They have weapons. But this is the week to trust in your abilities, trust in your strengths as a defense, and just go get it. Go get after them. They've played well. And I think the times they give up the big players are kind of, they gave up a big play against Detroit where it wasn't really even something they were. It was just a nice run play, and the effort really wasn't there, and he scored. But it wasn't anything schematically, I thought. So I'm with you. Just let it go. Let your guys make plays.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will take a look at Baker Mayfield and what he does on third downs that is more dangerous than any quarterback in the NFL on third down and long. We'll also hear from Colin Cowherd. Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
Welcome back to Sports4CLE. We continue talking Browns, getting ready for the Baltimore Ravens Sunday night. Colin Cowherd from The Herd talking about Baker Mayfield.
The only reliable opinion on Baker Mayfield in America has always been mine. No, I mean, that's it. The Browns were too high on him. Fans were too high on him. The media petrified of getting roasted if they're wrong with their vanilla takes. He'll be good. He'll be good. That was the safe take. My opinion is the only one that's ever been right, which was everybody was too high and unrealistic on Baker initially, and now they're beating the crap out of him, and it's not fair. Shocker. Fans are overly emotional in Cleveland. You thought he was Jim Kelly to start, and now you think he's Kyle Allen. So let me once again give the only reasonable opinion on Baker in America, because I don't get emotionally involved in this stuff. It's all biz. You know what I'm saying? A, he's never been a number 1 pick talent. B, he is a franchise quarterback, but he needs a ton of help around him. And C, he's way too cocky, too much ego for the position to rely on him. Again, all accurate from day one. But right now, Cleveland is roasting him, and it's totally unfair. Did you watch him against the Lions? He's in pain. He's got a bad heel. He's got a bad knee. He's got bad ribs. He's got a torn labrum. His shoulder's still not recovered. That wasn't Baker Mayfield. That was 50% of Baker. So Cleveland fans were outrageously delusional to start, and now you're unbelievably critical and unfair now.
Delusional? Delusional? I'm the only one in America who's been right? That would be the definition of delusional. Hayden, I don't even know where to start with that one, but here's the thing. It's easy to say a guy isn't the number 1 pick when he's got a bad shoulder, a bad knee, a broken bone in his shoulder, the heel now hurts, and he's frustrated because he can't do what he wants to do on a football field. I don't think he was barking up that tree, at the end of last year when he won a playoff game on the road against the Steelers.
You know what, Dave? I mean, there were some of the things that he said that I don't agree with, but the thing that I do agree with, and I agree with a couple of things. Obviously, I don't agree that he's had the only good take in America. That's obviously ridiculous. But what I do agree with, I agree with a couple of things. The fact that he said he's a franchise quarterback, I agree with that. I do. I agree with that. He's a franchise quarterback if he has pieces around him. I completely agree.
Yep.
Completely agree he's a franchise quarterback. The number one pick thing, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. You know, just because somebody's the number one pick doesn't mean they're the best player, doesn't mean they're, you know, have the most talent. I mean, I think John Dorsey wanted Baker Mayfield. I think if you asked John Dorsey who had the better arm, or if you asked John Dorsey who had, you know, the most, who's the most polished, I think his answers would have been different. I think when John Dorsey picked Baker Mayfield number one, I don't think it was because, well, you know, because this guy's got everything, he's the best of everything. I think John Dorsey picked Baker Mayfield because he thought this guy can handle playing quarterback in Cleveland. This guy can handle the position. This guy can win games. He can win you a Super Bowl. I mean, yes, no, there's nobody saying that his talent level is as high as the talent level of a Josh Allen. There's nobody saying that his talent level is as high as, you know, Lamar Jackson, who can run through the wind. I think when John Dorsey picked Baker Mayfield, he picked Baker Mayfield to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, to lead the franchise, to be the franchise face, to be the leader. And he's been that. He's been that, no doubt. And I think I agree with Colin Cowherd that, yes, it might take a little more for Baker Mayfield's play to be elevated, but he is still a franchise quarterback. He is still a franchise guy. That being said, I also agree that fans are now way too difficult on Baker Mayfield. Yes, of course, you want your team to win. Yes, he's struggling. But it's just like every little mistake, it gets magnified. It gets magnified. This year, he only has 10 touchdowns. I get it. I get that. I understand. But he also has the highest completion percentage of his career. He also has the highest yards per attempt of his career. You know, he's in the interceptions are down. I mean, again, they're very good things. Two of them came in one bad game against the Lions. I understand that. I get that. As for the injuries thing, yeah, he's banged up, but you can't use that as an excuse if you're Baker. You can't. He doesn't. He doesn't use it as an excuse. You know, he said he played like crap, and he did. He didn't play well last week. Quarterbacks have bad weeks. Russell Wilson had an awful week against the Packers 2 weeks ago. He didn't have an awful week the next week. I mean, again, even some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL have bad weeks. So the point being here is that you take all of what Colin said, and I think that you don't have to worry about the quarterback issue going forward until after the season. Focus on this week. I know Baker Mayfield. I've watched him. I've been around him for 4 years, right? Talked to him for 4 years. I know that I would not bet against Baker Mayfield with his back up against the wall. That's what I would say. I would say that when his back is up against the wall, he comes out and plays just like he did against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think this week is going to be a huge statement. And if he doesn't play well, then maybe there's starting to be some real questions. But until then, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and you know what I would say about the number one overall pick, nobody had Lamar Jackson as a first-round pick other than the Baltimore Ravens. So points to them for the evaluation on Lamar Jackson. And then it was split with everybody between Allen, Mayfield, and Darnold. And anybody else that tells you anything differently wasn't around or is lying. So John Dorsey picked Baker Mayfield because he felt he was the best fit here. That's to be determined. Who knows? Who knows what Josh Allen would do in that situation that Baker Mayfield is in? Who knows what Sam Darnold would? Heck, who knows what Lamar Jackson would do? Would the Browns have been willing to tailor an offense around a guy like Lamar Jackson like the Ravens did? I don't know the answer to that. Nobody does.
Right.
But stop with you were the only one that had the right read on Baker Mayfield. That's ridiculous. All right, let's move on. This tweet comes to us from Brad Cangilio, and this is about Baker Mayfield's aggressiveness on third down. And it is the most aggressive in the NFL. So on third and 5 to 10 to go, percentage of throws to the first down marker or farther. Baker Mayfield tops in the league, Hurts is second, and you see Stafford, Garoppolo, and Allen behind him. Now, again, you mentioned the completion percentage. That's a good thing. Bad thing is the third downs have been a struggle for this offense pretty much all year.
Yeah, I was going to say that is actually interesting, and I don't think it's a positive one. Sometimes that to me maybe says that Baker's pushing the ball on third down, like because he feels like he has to. Sometimes that check down the Browns have enough talent where you can get through a tackle. And I'm not saying to throw, a 3rd and 10, throw it 4 yards, but 3rd and 10, throw it 6-7 yards. Put yourself in that position. That also kind of maybe lends a little credence to play calling. It's a little bit of everything. So that's a surprising stat. And I don't know whether I should take it negatively or positively, because the positive part is, yeah, you do want to throw the ball past the sticks, because then you don't have to worry about anything else. Or, you don't have to worry about not getting in the first down. But also, the Browns are aggressive on 4th down. So why not? If it's 3rd and 8, throw it 6 yards, it's 3rd and you get tackled right away. It's 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Instead of trying to throw it 13 yards down the field where it might not be as good of a situation, it might not be as open of a play. So that's an interesting stat, and one that I would be interested to see going forward in terms of play calling and the way Baker Mayfield, goes about things on 3rd down.
Well, and 3rd downs is obviously going to be a focal point. So both Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield talked about this Ravens defense, especially how good they are on 3rd downs.
They play very aggressive on 3rd down. They can blitz zero you. They can drop everybody into coverage. They play man. They crawl up in your face, playing a very aggressive style. They have multiple rushers from a personnel standpoint that they can bring. They have varied type of rushers. The rookie 99 is long and fast. 93's been doing it for a long time. So you just have a bunch of really good guys that they can throw at you in the pass rush game.
Yeah, I mean, they do. They have consistently have always done a great job of mixing up looks and bringing different guys. You expect it one way, and they'll bring it from the opposite side. But, their rankings when it comes down to that, some people might, point that out, but they're the #1 defense in the league when it comes down to 3rd down percentage and red zone percentage. So that's what we're focused on, and they do obviously a really, really good job of that.
And Hayden, 3rd down and red zone, those are the 2 areas that you want to be good at. You want to be the best in the league at.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the Browns have had their issues on 3rd down. I mean, they're one of the worst in the league defensively on 3rd down, so it's kind of an opposite. But I guess the good thing if the Browns have been bad on 3rd down, so if they can do what they need to do on 1st and 2nd down, maybe the stats will continue in the right direction. I don't know, but what I do know is that Baltimore's defense has always been good. It's been good for a long time. They have the right people in place. They do things well. They have had some bad moments though. You watch that game against Cincinnati, Joe Burrow tore them up. You look at even Miami, who doesn't have much talent. I mean, they did enough to get that win. So Baltimore's defense, again, is not – it's definitely a good unit and not something to be taken lightly. But this Browns offense is damn good too. They have a great offensive line. They have great running backs. If Baker Mayfield's on his game, which more often than not I would say he is, but lately he hasn't been. If he's on his game, then, he can be dangerous as well, very dangerous. So I'm excited to see what this offense can do. Regardless, it should be a really, really, really good back-and-forth football game.
Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll take a look at the question. If the Browns want to win the AFC North, is this a must-win game? Plenty on the Browns. Ravens straight ahead. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns getting ready for a divisional matchup in Baltimore against the Ravens Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. John Johnson was asked, if the Browns want to win the AFC North, is this a must-win game?
At the moment, yes. We got to win this one. We got to go 1-0 this game, another division game. If we want to win our division, we got to win this game. So I think you can say that at this moment, but later on it might change.
So you think you have to win this game in order to win the division?
Absolutely. You got to go 1-0 each week, and that's our goal.
And Hayden Grove, this one, again, I think if the Browns win this, they throw a whole lot of pressure on the Baltimore Ravens.
They do. I think this is pretty much a must win if they want to win the division. I do. I think that if they want to win this division, you got to beat Baltimore twice, you're going to probably have to beat Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. I mean, these are good teams that have good records, and the AFC North is a very, very, heavy and difficult division because all these teams have great records. So they can't, they could split and make the playoffs with Baltimore, but I don't think they can split and win the division. So it's either you beat Baltimore twice or you're looking at, potentially going 10-7 and finding a way, to the playoffs another way, 11-6, something along those lines.
All right, so in last week's win against Detroit, Nick Chubb rushed for 68 yards in the fourth quarter. It's most in the NFL for Week 11. Fourth quarter rushing yards since 2020. Nick Chubb, you see it, 7.8 per carry, and Aaron Jones 6.26. That is a good thing. So let me ask you this. What do the Browns need offensively in order to come away with a badly needed win in Baltimore on Sunday?
They need everything. They need Baker to be great. They need Baker to be good. They need Baker to be good. I'll give you that. I'll give them that. They need Baker to be good. They need the running game to be good. They need everybody to be at the top of their game. That's what they need. I don't want, yes, you would like to be able to run the ball, and I think that they will be able to run the ball. I think that's why Nick Chubb averages more yards in the fourth quarter than anyone, because there's a plan in place. There's a way that the Browns win. It is a blueprint. It is not a secret. Get the ball, get them scoring early, and then finish it out at the end. That's what it is. You start with the run and you finish with the run. That's what the Browns do. They've done it. They've consistently done it. Nick Chubb has, closed many fourth quarters of the Browns, as well as Kareem Hunt. So that is their recipe for success. So they got to be able to run the ball. Kareem Hunt's got to be, Kareem Hunt, giving them the extra yards that they need. And Baker Mayfield just has to find Baker Mayfield again. I think, the last couple of weeks, I think he's been down because he's been hurt. I think he's been down because he's been beaten down by these fans, by, the outside noise. I think it's, it's tough to, everybody says like, oh, you can't listen to it. Well, it's very easily said and very difficultly done. It's difficult to drown out the noise when there's so much of it. So, he's been upset with himself. He's been upset with the way he's played. But I think this is the week to put it all behind and say, listen, I have an opportunity to go out and win it, help my team win this game. And when we do win, we are right back in it. We have a bye week to get healthy. And then it is really go time as we push towards the playoffs. So there are definitely things that are bad about having a late bye week. But I think the Browns could be in a really good position with this late bye week that they have. All
right. Who do you think steps up in the passing game? Because you're probably going to have somebody do it. And that's something that's been overlooked. Jarvis Landry is nowhere near 100%. Donovan Peoples-Jones hasn't been able to play last couple of weeks. Odell's gone. So the receiving core has been depleted, and you didn't have Kareem Hunt, who's a weapon. Who do you look to? Who do you think will have the opportunity to have a big game in the passing game for the Browns against the Ravens?
Yeah, I think Jarvis Landry is the first guy that comes to mind. Last week he scored a touchdown, but still, Baker missed him a couple of times. He was open. I think that I think that the chemistry is still, they have great chemistry, but I think that they're, maybe with Baker being a little hurt and maybe with Jarvis being a little hurt, they're still trying to figure it out. I think this is the week that they gotta find it. They gotta find it together. They gotta get it together. I think Jarvis Landry is a huge security blanket for Baker Mayfield. I think that, if he's looking at a read outside and then Jarvis, boom, he's right there. He's going to make a play. So there's a trust factor there. I love Jarvis. I think everybody on the Browns loves Jarvis. He's one of their biggest leaders, one of their biggest, veterans. And, he's due. He's due for a big week. He's due for a big game. I think this is the week where Jarvis Landry comes out and plays ball.
All right. How do you see this playing out? What do you think the Browns absolutely need to get this one in the win column?
Dave, I've been watching the Browns since I was 4 years old. That was six. I told you I'm bad at math. I was 6 years old because I was born in 93 and 99. And I have I kind of have a feeling for games that, that probably won't go well, the Lions being one of them. And I have a feeling for games that will go well. And I think Sunday, given all of the adversity this team has faced and the fact their backs are against the wall, and the fact that Baker Mayfield hasn't played well, I think it's all leaning towards the Browns playing well in this game. I think it's all leaning towards the Browns coming out and shocking people. I don't know. Honestly, I think I do. I think in my heart, I think that they, in my mind, I think that the way that I've, in my gut, that's a better way to feel. I think in my gut, I feel the Browns are going to win this game. And if they don't, then there are some big questions, and there's some, it is an opportunity to spiral here. So even then, if they're 6-6 after the bye, if they can beat Baltimore, then they can save their season. But it would just make it so much easier on them to win this game, to get the bye healthy, have that momentum. But I have a gut feeling that they're going to come out and play really well. They're going to play really well against Baltimore.
I think the key is that they need to win the turnover battle. I know that's pretty much football 101, but when you need to turn things around, if you can win the turnover battle, it swings momentum. You got Kareem Hunt back. Again, they need to win it, not push it. Win the turnover battle, and I think they end up coming away with a win in Baltimore. Hayden Grove, as always, Hayden, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. God bless.
You too. Appreciate the time again. Hayden Grove. You can read them in the pages of the Plain Dealer and as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We will continue to talk Browns, getting ready for the Ravens. Ashley Bastock, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, will join us straight ahead. Stay with us on Sports4CLE.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions, lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams, I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns, getting ready for Sunday Night Football down in Baltimore against the Ravens. Emmanuel Acho from FS1's Speak for Yourself on what the Browns should do with Baker Mayfield.
I think that the Browns bench him temporarily. Baker Mayfield, at this point, he's hurting himself. We know that. And he's also hurting the team. So if you're the Cleveland Browns, just bench Baker Mayfield temporarily. You can get through games in the regular season without Baker Mayfield, but you're going to need Baker Mayfield in the playoffs. Right now, the way Baker Mayfield played against the Lions, I look at it and I say, there's nothing that Baker did that Case Keenum couldn't do. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that Baker did that Case Keenum wouldn't do. And so go ahead and put Case Keenum in there because Case Keenum's not floating the ball over Jarvis Landry's head by 5 feet so it lands into an easy interception there in the first quarter. Case Keenum would not do that. Now, Baker made about 3 or 4 throws, and I'm like, whoa, those were first-round number one overall pick throws. But he made about 3 mistakes where I was like, whoa. That should never happen. I'd rather wash my hands with that right now. Let Case Keenum get me through the Ravens game. Maybe Case Keenum plays both Ravens games and he splits them. Bench Baker Mayfield temporarily and go from there.
Let's welcome in Ashley Bastock from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. And I think Emmanuel's about a week late with that. I would have done that against the Lions to have him ready for the Ravens 2 games. I disagree. I think these are games you got to have Baker Mayfield out there. Just your thoughts. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, after the Lions game,
on our podcast, I kind of said that when you're playing injured, there comes a point where you have to ask, is this serving anyone anymore? Is this serving me? Is this serving the team? But when it comes to benching a player, I think unless he is severely injured and cannot play right now, I think it could potentially do more harm than good to bench Baker Mayfield right now, both with the results on the field and in the aftermath of all that. Obviously, it would be an incredibly dicey situation at that point, I think. And for Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield to come back from that, no one knows how that would potentially play out. So if Baker Mayfield is healthy enough to play and he says that and the medical staff says that, I do think he probably still gives you your best chance in these games. And again, some of these injuries he had, these contusions in his knee, in his heel, those are bruises basically, right? Bone bruises. They heal eventually. We know that torn labrum isn't going to heal without surgery, but some of these other things he has a chance to, as these weeks go on, heal and improve in that regard.
Yeah, and again, I you don't do that against the Ravens. These are, I don't want to say must-win games, but they're pretty close to must-win games. So one of the guys that's been missing is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Still not sure if he'll be able to come back. Baker Mayfield talked a little bit just about the chemistry that he and Donovan Peoples-Jones have developed this year.
Obviously, we're a little depleted at the receiver position right now, but we're asking guys to step up and be role players when Donovan's down. So it's he's an important part of our downfield passing game, but we have to find ways to make up for it when he's not in. He's a very consistent guy. He's somebody that he's going to be in the same spot every time. And you talk through it with him throughout the week, and you can trust that he's going to do it come game time as well.
So Ashley, how big of a lift? They get Kareem Hunt back. That's going to help the pass game. If some way, and Kevin Stefanski doesn't have a real good picture of what Donovan Peoples-Jones or Anthony Schwartz will look like yet, how big of a lift would Donovan Peoples-Jones be?
He would be huge. I was looking at some of his numbers today. Pro Football Focus has him this season with a 99.9 grade on deep catches, which are defined as catches by 20 yards or more. And he's, I think, only missed 2 looks like that this season. So obviously he just gives you an entirely new element with your downfield looks. And we know that vertical passes are something that the Browns have struggled with this season. I think it's amplified when DPJ is not in there. But as you said, Kareem Hunt coming back, we know that that is very likely a possibility. He talked today as well and said that for himself, that he is hopeful that he's going to be able to play. So all in all, can only go up from here, I think, in the pass game, even if you just get Kareem Hunt back this week.
And the thing that really kind of got my attention is Baker Mayfield saying he's going to be in the same spot every time, and when you talk through it during the week, you're going to be on the same page. That's a pretty good indication that the quarterback has a lot of confidence in a receiver when he talks about him like that.
Yeah, I think that these last 2 years with Baker and DPJ specifically, that they've just had this chemistry. I think it's because they're mentally wired the same quite a bit. Like Donovan Peoples-Jones was a guy who at one point in time thought he would have been a first-round draft pick when he was drafted and ended up falling all the way to round 6. He's done nothing but have to prove himself, even though he was a top prospect for a huge chunk of his life. Early in college, going into college, things like that. So I really think for whatever reason, sometimes this stuff is unexplainable, right? Like the same way we talked about Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. not having that chemistry and not really having a for sure reason for why that was. I think it's, the same thing, just reversed with Baker Mayfield and DPJ.
So the other thing that kind of reared its ugly head again in the game against the Lions were penalties. So now for the year, Browns have 80 penalties, that's second most in the NFL, and 726 yards against them in penalties. That is most in the NFL. That's got to get corrected. I know you've written about this. I know we've talked about this. How important is that? And I think it's probably number 1 on Kevin Stefanski's list.
Yeah, and I think the common understanding amongst fans is penalties come from discipline or lack thereof discipline. But I do think that that is the biggest thing on their backs right now as a team. We heard them talk last week about some of the things they're doing in practice to try to cut those penalties down. starting periods of practice over if they get one, going all the way back to the beginning. So they're trying. This isn't for a lack of trying. And I think that's why it becomes a concern that now in 2 of the last 3 games, they've had 10 penalties that cost them more than 80 yards. That's a huge chunk of yardage that against really good teams, you're not going to be able to make up. And you can't afford to do that against the Baltimore Ravens. They've got to find an answer here soon. And I certainly don't envy them because it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and on the road, those penalties tend to get a little bit more because of crowd noise and those kind of things. So those are things that got to get corrected in a hurry. This is really interesting. So highest graded defenders on 3rd and 4th downs by Pro Football Focus. So Jonathan Allen, Washington football team, and Myles Garrett. So the Browns, we know, defensively have struggled in specific games on 3rd and 4th down. But Myles Garrett is grading out as one of the best defenders in the league, or tied for the best defender in the league, actually.
Yeah, I think that's probably not really surprising. And I know, Myles Garrett unquestionably is maybe the best defensive end in all of the NFL. Certainly in that conversation at the very least, but I would argue he is the best defensive end no matter what numbers you're looking at. So that's not surprising. And, I think a lot of the times when Myles suffers, he's getting held and that's not getting called, or he's getting double teamed or triple teamed in some cases. And he's not able to maybe be as effective in terms of some of these numbers that we're used to seeing from him. Against the Lions game, I even think tweeted something to this effect. I think it's kind of hard to glean anything from, some of those pressure statistics, the lack of sacks, things like that, because Tim Boyle basically did what he did throughout his entire college career. He's a guy who hates getting sacked, so he gets the ball out quick, and it makes him prone to interceptions. So the Browns kind of made up for things there. But, I think overall, defensively, the rest of the defense maybe has to catch up to Myles Garrett as opposed to the other way around, that it was never a problem with Myles Garrett as I've seen it so far this season.
Yeah, I would agree. There are a couple of guys that and again, if they get it turned around, this is the perfect time of the season for that defense. Defense just needs to be a little bit better. Ashley Bastock from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will hear from Baker Mayfield on the Ravens' success despite them being beat up. We'll also hear on how the Browns are going to defend Lamar Jackson from Kevin Stefanski. Sports4CLE, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
6-5 Browns getting ready to head to Baltimore to face the 7-3 Ravens on Sunday Night Football. The Ravens have suffered a bunch of injuries. 6 of their starters have been out for the season. Baker Mayfield talked about just what they have seen from the Ravens as far as overcoming those injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look back at what their potential starting roster and depth chart compared to what it is now, they to be where they're at is extremely impressive. To be able to have a lot of guys step up, and a lot of their games so far this year they've come from behind. So they're a very resilient team, and that's just how they're led and coached, and we know that, and we expect that coming into it. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. Obviously anytime it's a primetime game, the crowd's more involved. They get a little bit more time to prepare for it, but it's an important game for both teams, and we both know that.
And Ashley, we talk about the Browns being beat up. Ravens have been as beat up, just not in. It's been more spread out. I mean, they had their running backs and they kind of recovered. It seems like it goes from tackles to wide receivers. It jumps to position groups, almost like it's joining the team meetings for the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, and last week, we see Lamar Jackson not be able to play due to some virus that was not COVID-19 related. And they didn't find that out until late Saturday or early Sunday. They still managed to get a win last week. And, I think guys today, it kept coming up repeatedly. This is part of the culture in Baltimore and what John Harbaugh has been able to build there. And I think that's the kind of stability that he's ingrained all these guys with. It's talk about the peak of next man up mentality. So as Cleveland has had to deal with some of these injuries and it's maybe been a bit more unfortunate and things piling up all at once, I really think Baltimore is maybe the prime example of how that should go for good NFL teams and how you can make up some ground in that regard.
Yeah, I would agree. So Lamar Jackson practiced and says he's good to go. We heard from him earlier in the show. Kevin Stefanski talked on how the Browns are preparing to get ready for Lamar Jackson.
We do use a couple different guys back there. Now, doesn't matter who you put back there. It's not going to replicate his athleticism, his speed, his ability to make throws from the pocket, all of that. I mean, he's a rare talent. He's a great player. We respect him. Certainly, he has our attention. And it's just a matter of being sound in all of what you do for 60 minutes or more. I mean, you can't let up versus a great player.
So, Ashley, what do you think Joe Woods does? We talked a little bit earlier. There was a blueprint that the Dolphins put out in a Thursday night game. Again, it was a short week, but, they made Lamar Jackson look not great and turned him over sometimes. And what do you think the Browns do?
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible. And we saw that in the Dolphins game that they're able to do that. But, from talking to John Johnson III today and Anthony Walker Jr., it's not about exactly copying the Dolphins blueprint, right? It's about doing what the Browns do well as a group and maybe tweaking it a little bit to use some of those things that the Dolphins use. Now, obviously, we're not going to hear any exact details on a game plan from players and coaches the week of a game. But, I think that's how most successful NFL teams operate, that you have to operate. You still have to find a way to play to your strengths while maybe gleaning some things that you can from film and what other teams' opponents have done. So it will definitely be interesting. And I'm especially curious and knowing that the Browns play them this week, obviously have the bye week, and then go right back to playing the Ravens here at home. They're going to have some time there in between to really figure out what works in this game coming up on Sunday night and tweak it even further. And obviously the Ravens have that game against the Steelers, I believe, in between the two Browns games. So definitely, I think could be a huge advantage for Cleveland going into that second matchup.
All right, when you look at this first game against the Ravens, what are some of the keys? What do you think the Browns need to make sure they do if they're going to get a much-needed win in Baltimore?
Well, I think maybe the biggest key for me and the biggest key going forward this season is Kareem Hunt has to be productive, right? Like, I truly believe you cannot overstate his importance in this offense. I think in a lot of ways, he's a safety valve for Baker Mayfield if the pass game isn't going. And I think Baker Mayfield can really be Baker Mayfield when he has all of his weapons available to him. So really for me, I think that's maybe the biggest key to getting some offensive momentum, especially.
When you look at this, how do you think it plays out? Do you think the Browns end up finding a way to win? Is it a high-scoring game? Is it a low-scoring game? What are your thoughts?
Well, right now, so considering the Browns haven't scored above 17, I think only one time in their last 6 games. So it's hard for me to pick it as a high-scoring game. I'll say the Browns win and something fluky happens and it's like 21-18 or something like that.
Fair enough. Again, appreciate the time and the insight. Ashley Bastock, as always, have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you for joining us, Ashley.
Thank you.
All right, Ashley Bastock. Make sure you read her in the pages of the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. That'll do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. We will not have a show tomorrow. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we will not have a show Friday. We will be back here Monday to dissect that Ravens game against the Browns on Sunday Night Football. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. We'll see you Monday on Sports4CLE.